The lunch bag was already hanging over the edge of the trash bin when the young woman rushed into the executive office, her face pale and her eyes filled with fear. "Please, don't throw away my lunch," she whispered. The CEO froze. It was such a strange request that everyone in the room turned toward her. The woman's hands trembled as she reached for the worn gray lunch bag. She did not ask for money. She did not beg to keep her job. She only begged him not to throw away a simple lunch. But when CEO Alistair Vaughn opened the bag after she had left, what he found inside made his breath disappear, and forced him to confront a truth he had spent years trying to forget. Welcome back to Compassion Chronicles. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one small act to change a life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this story, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment. And before we continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Alistair Vaughn was known throughout the city as a man who never allowed emotions to interfere with business. At 46, he had built Vaughn Industries into one of the country's largest technology companies. His name appeared in magazines beside words like brilliant, powerful, and ruthless. Employees respected him, but few felt comfortable speaking to him. His office occupied the highest floor of a glass tower, overlooking streets filled with people whose lives seemed far away from his own. That morning, Alistair had arrived earlier than usual. A major investor was visiting, and every department had been ordered to prepare for an important presentation. The building was filled with nervous energy. Assistants hurried through the halls. Managers checked reports again and again. Even the cleaning staff had been told to stay out of sight. Among them was Maribel Santos, a 28-year-old woman who had worked as a temporary office cleaner for only 3 weeks. Maribel was quiet, careful, and always arrived before sunrise. She wore simple clothes and carried the same faded gray lunch bag every day. Most employees never noticed her. To them, she was simply the woman who emptied wastebaskets and cleaned fingerprints from glass doors. But Maribel had a reason for working so hard. Her younger brother, Tomas, was only 11 and had been recovering from a serious illness. Their mother had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving Maribel to care for him alone. Their small apartment was far from the city center, and after paying rent, transportation, and medical bills, there was rarely enough money left for anything extra. Every morning, Maribel prepared one small meal and packed it carefully. Sometimes it was rice with vegetables. Sometimes it was a sandwich cut into 2 pieces. She always saved half for Tomas. That lunch was not only food. It was a promise. On that particular morning, Maribel had placed the lunch bag on a side table outside the executive conference room while she cleaned nearby. She planned to eat after finishing her work. But as the investor arrived, a security officer noticed the old bag and assumed it had been left behind. Within minutes, the bag was brought into Alistair's office. "Someone left this outside the conference room," the officer explained. "We don't know what's inside." Alistair was already irritated by delays. Without looking up from his papers, he said, "Throw it away. We don't have time for this." The officer picked up the bag and walked toward the trash bin. Then Maribel appeared at the open door. She had heard the words from the hallway. "Please, don't throw away my lunch," she whispered. Her voice was so soft that Alistair almost ignored it. But something in her expression made him look up. She stood frozen near the entrance, holding a cleaning cloth against her chest. Her eyes moved from the bag to the trash bin. "It's only food," she said quietly. "I'll take it." One of the managers frowned. "You should not have left personal belongings near the executive conference room." "I'm sorry," Maribel replied. "I was cleaning. I thought I would come back for it." Alistair studied her for a moment. The bag looked old and cheap. One of its handles had been repaired with a piece of brown thread. "You can take it," he said. Maribel hurried forward and held the bag tightly against her chest. For a second, she looked as if she wanted to say something more. Instead, she lowered her eyes and left. The meeting continued, but Alistair could not focus. Several minutes later, his assistant entered with a stack of documents and placed them on his desk. Tomas recovered slowly. One afternoon, he visited the office and handed Alistair a new drawing. This time, the picture showed 3 people standing beneath a bright yellow sun. Above them, Tomas had written, "Thank you for not throwing away our hope." Alistair could not speak. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who still believes kindness matters, and subscribe to Compassion Chronicles for more emotional stories that remind us how deeply one compassionate choice can change a life. And just before we end, we have a special request. Comment the words, "Kindness is never wasted," if you believe that even the smallest act of compassion can become someone's greatest hope. Years later, Alistair kept that first drawing inside a frame on his desk. Whenever people asked why one of the country's most successful CEOs spent so much time helping employees, he would look at the faded picture and smile. He never told them about the lunch bag. He never explained how close he had come to throwing it away. Because sometimes, what looks like an ordinary meal is carrying someone's sacrifice. Sometimes, the thing we dismiss as unimportant contains a story we desperately need to understand. And sometimes, the smallest request, spoken in a trembling voice, does not ask us to save food. It asks us to remember our humanity. Maribel had entered his office believing she was protecting one simple lunch. But without knowing it, she had saved something far greater. She had saved the part of Alistair Vaughn that success had almost destroyed.